Hey, what's happening, guys? You're listening to the Straight to Amp podcast. Of course, my name is Brian, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening to this little short mini episode. We were lucky enough to grab a hold of Chris Jericho for an interview regarding his touring and his Fozziness and his cruise and all that good stuff. It's only about 15 minutes long, but we hope you really enjoy it. Anyways, I had to film this interview or record this interview on a Friday during the day, so unfortunately Alex and Derek were unavailable to come and sit down with Chris and myself, but I know that they were there in spirit, and so I really hope that you guys enjoy this interview. And it's so here's Chris. Yeah, so I'm joined by Chris Jericho, super awesome titan of entertainment industry. He's going to be here in Winnipeg on December the 1st at the Burt with Fozzy. Chris, how excited are you to be playing back home?
I'm really excited, man. And the thing is, the band is at full force right now because we've been touring for the last 18 months, and the Burt show is going to be one of our last shows of the entire tour. So I'm really looking forward to it. Plus, we've played a lot of shows in Winnipeg in the past from a lot of different venues and places, but to play at the Burt is a really big deal, man. I mean, to me, unless you're playing, the Playhouse or the MTS Center, the Burt's kind of like the best venue that we can play in town. So we're really excited about it, man. It's always good to play back in Winnipeg and get a chance to play it at such a prestigious place named after one of the greatest singers of all time, also coming from Winnipeg. It's going to be quite the show.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how successful Winnipeggers have been over the past year or so. I mean, obviously more so like longer before that, but like the year-long run that Winnipeggers have been having in general, yourself, Kenny Omega, Comeback Kid, Propagandy, the Jets, Don Callis, like killing it.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget about Brent Fitz and Todd Kearns playing with Flash.
Yeah.
Around the world. There's a lot of talented people that come from Winnipeg, and I think it's because we're very motivated. Obviously, Winnipeg's a smaller town in Canada. It's also very cold. But, when you grow up in Winnipeg, man, it just gives you a little bit more drive and a little bit more focus to really, make things happen. So I think that's one of the reasons. And also, when you're from Winnipeg, we're very proud of it. I'm very proud to be from Winnipeg, and it's something that I make sure that everybody knows whenever people say, "Oh, you're from Tampa," or "Where are you from?" I always say I'm from Winnipeg, man. I'm from Canada, and I think that gives us a little bit of an extra edge because it is so freaking cold. When you grow up there, it makes you a little bit tougher and a little bit more focused on what you want to do with your life.
Yeah, it's already cold here. It's like 11 below right now, and we're not even into the dregs in November, and there's like a foot of snow on the ground, and it sucks, man.
One of my favorite things to do is whenever we have shows, whether it's Fozzy or whether it's WWE, when it's more in the winter months, I just stand right by the door inside the venue, and when people come in, just looking at the looks of like pure surprise when they can't believe how cold it is in Winnipeg. It's always fun when people go, "Oh my God, it's so cold! How do you guys live here?" And it's like, this ain't nothing, man. It's only minus 20.
Yeah,
the wind chill kicks in.
You get used to it. Remember last year there was a day where it was colder than Mars here, so you get used to it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And when I say that to people, they go, "Oh, come on!" I always Google it, and I say, "Yeah, it was just like December 26th or whatever. Winnipeg, colder than the surface of Mars."
Yeah, it was minus 57 here and only minus 51 there. It gets miserable here sometimes. Sometimes the edge of Winnipeggers kind of comes out and everybody can see it. Last year during the Jets playoff run, you challenged Carrie Underwood to a $10,000 charity bet on that playoff series. Did you end up collecting?
Never heard from her. She knew from the start that Winnipeg was going to beat Nashville, and I was actually like I couldn't believe that she didn't respond. And then I thought, wasn't she married to one of the guys in the Predators, and maybe that might be some kind of a tampering thing that she can't bet on her own team? But I was like, it was anytime Jericho challenges Carrie Underwood, if nothing else, it makes for a fun story.
Absolutely. Fozzy, of course, you mentioned 18 months on tour. You guys are riding high. Some of your singles recently have hit high points on the mainstream rock chart. Judas was at 5. Painless was at 7. How does it feel to be just kind of like is it do you feel like finally you've kind of just pushed yourself over the edge?
Yeah, it's interesting because people say, "Oh, rock radio is dead," and radio doesn't have any influence, and that's not the truth. It really does, and we saw that huge with Judas and with Painless and with Burn Me Out, just how the band has grown in popularity, and all of those songs, people know them when we play them live, and it's like if you don't have radio in your town, everyone has YouTube, and I think Judas is at 25 million views. Painless is like at 4 or 5. Burn Me Out's almost at 2 after being out for a couple months. You can really see the difference of the combination of the rock radio influence and the YouTube influence, and it does make a big difference. I mean, our numbers, attendance-wise, have gone through the roof. We're getting a chance to play places that we haven't played in years, like Winnipeg or Australia, playing places that we've never played before, like Thunder Bay on this tour, London, Ontario. We just came back from Auckland, New Zealand. All these places are wanting Fozzy to come rock because now we are, on the proverbial map. And we've had a lot of success in the past, a lot of great fans, a lot of great songs. For whatever reason, the Judas record and all of these songs that you mentioned have just put us on a completely different level. I mean, to the point that we just got booked opening for Iron Maiden next September in the LA Coliseum. That never would have happened 2 years ago. So there's a lot of buzz about Fozzy, and we're really it's a really good time to be in this band right now.
No kidding. Opening for Iron Maiden, that's kind of got to be on the dream list for you, right? Like, that's got to be bucket list for Chris Jericho.
It is, man. I mean, it's a big deal to open for Iron Maiden, especially in that in a stadium. But once again, for us too, headlining the Burt is a big deal as well. So all of these things that we're doing is just kind of a testament to all the hard work that we put into it and all the fans that have believed in us and listened to us, for years and years and years. And all of these cool things that are happening wouldn't have happened 2 years ago. It's the Judas record and all the buzz and momentum that we have that are allowing all these cool moments to take place.
Yeah, exactly. In music, there's always something that's next. So what's next for you and Fozzy?
What's that, bud?
I said, in music, there's always something that's like coming up next. So what is next for you and Fozzy?
Well, like I said, I mean, this tour is the last leg of the Judas Rising tour. So that means that it's time to go back into the studio and write another record. And I think with, like I mentioned, the success of Judas, we have to make sure that the next record is just as good, if not better. So we have to put some time into those songs. The good news is that we're on Sony Records now, which is one of the biggest record labels in the world. They really appreciate the band because of the success of the record, and I think we're at almost over 200,000 in sales, which in this day and age, you might as well be triple platinum.
That's a big deal
of a track record,
That's a big deal.
So I think it's time to just get back in the studio and put out something cool and continue the momentum.
Can't wait to hear that. You guys, as both of us have mentioned, you guys have been on tour for 18 months. How do you stay connected with your family while on the road for that long?
Well, I mean, we've had some good breaks, a month here, a couple months there. Taking your family on tour with you is never really an optimal thing, but to go to shows, and my wife came with me to the Auckland show, and everyone was on the Jericho cruise where Fozzy performed on that 3 times. So you just have to make it work. When we tour the States and North America, I always make sure that it's 5 days on, 2 days off, so I can still come home every week and take my kids to school and all that sort of stuff. So you just have to make the concessions to make it work and realize that family is still the most important thing, no matter how much momentum you have with whatever's going on.
Man, that's really cool. I can really appreciate that. How did the cruise go?
It was amazing, man. We sold it out for the first year, which is crazy. Already talking about year number 2. And, just that moment when we pulled out of the port in Miami, Fozzy's playing Judas, we're live, we got 2,300 people on the pool deck watching us, and just knowing the feeling of accomplishment, like, man, we did it, this is it. It was always the idea for me, not just to make it a one and done, but to do it to where it becomes a franchise, a yearly vacation, destination vacation. And it seems like we're getting closer to that with hopefully able to announce the second cruise very soon.
Saving my pennies so I can go on one eventually, man.
There's a lot of Winnipeggers on it, man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, we love you. You're an icon here. I mean, you're an icon everywhere, but you're a champion of Winnipeg. We love it.
Well, like I said, always proud to rep my my home city for sure.
A couple of last questions. How did you feel about the Portage and Main thing?
What's that? What happened?
Well, I mean, we had during our last election, we had the plebiscite to vote on whether or not we should open up Portage and Main to pedestrian traffic, and the city voted no.
Well, you mean to cross the street?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty crazy corner. You know what I mean? I think isn't there kind of an underground tunnel too? So that makes it kind of cool. I mean, it's one of the most famous intersections in North America. So don't hassle it. You know, the last thing you need is for it to be like Abbey Road, which is an intersection, and everybody's just clogging it up by walking across it. You can't even get down there. There's too much traffic for people to be walking across the street on Portage and Main. Plus, it's the coldest intersection in the world. Why would you want to be hanging around down there anyways? Stay in your car, go in the underground tunnels, and stay out of the wind.
That's a fair point. So you become a megastar in wrestling and music and cruises, and you've been in lots of movies. What is the next thing that Chris Jericho is branching into?
You know, it's interesting. I don't really have a bucket list of that sort of stuff. I just kind of organically go where it goes. You know, I mean, I had a great day the other day where we got booked to open for Iron Maiden in the stadium. And then later on that day, I got cast in the new Jay and Silent Bob movie by Kevin Smith. So
nice.
You just never know what's going to happen. I think to me, the most important thing is just to continue to entertain, to write great music with Fozzy, to do great matches with whatever wrestling company I'm working with, whether it's New Japan or whether it's WWE and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, have a great cruise and a great podcast and just continue to do what I'm doing. And if the chance comes for me to, you know, be on celebrity bowling and it feels good, then I'll go do celebrity bowling. I don't really have a list of things. I must do this, I must do that. It's just continue to do what I'm doing and build the momentum and the buzz that I've been creating for the last 28 years or whatever it's been.
I can dig that. I'd enjoy seeing you on celebrity bowling. That'd be
man.
That'd be fun.
Strike, fair,
yeah.
turkey.
Last time I asked you whether or not a hot dog was a sandwich. Since then, Oscar Mayer has ruled that hot dog is a sandwich, so now I have to come up with a new, harder question in the world. So I think I have one. And I think you might appreciate it. Is the proper way to put on socks sock, shoe, shoe, or sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
No. Sock, shoe, shoe. Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
You can't do one or the other. They got to be in pairs, man.
All right. I can dig that. Chris, I really appreciate it. I'm going to go have your pizza tonight to celebrate again. I hope
the old Jericho down at DJ's. I wish I had one right now.
They're great. I mean, you're going to be here soon, so you can have one of your own.
I will order one exclusively to the Burt.
Sounds like a plan. Chris, thank you so much. I will see you guys playing December 1st at the Burton Cummings Theatre. You can check out Fozzy. Chris, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, dude. We'll see you soon.
Cheers. All right. I hope you guys really enjoyed that interview. I had so much fun putting it together, doing all the research and talking to Chris. That was the second time I've talked to him, but that was a much more in-depth interview. I think I was more prepared for it. I was less starstruck than the first time I did it. So I think it went off pretty good. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. One thing I did want to say is that this is my last episode with Straight to Amp. Just with work and extracurricular stuff and volunteer work and all that, I just don't have the time anymore to commit to the amount of effort that you guys deserve to have as listeners. And as a result, I'm not going to be on the podcast anymore. But I want to thank you guys, everybody who listens every single episode, you guys are fantastic. I want to thank Derek and Alex so much for allowing me to be part of such a wonderful and great project. They're wonderful human beings with great ambition, and the podcast is going to be in really great places. You're going to hear some really quality content stuff because they're really good. They're good interviewers. They're really smart about how they go about questions. They're good musicians, and it's going to be awesome to see where the podcast goes in the future. I wish I could continue to be part of it. It's tough, you know? So yeah, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the Chris Jericho interview and the rest of the episodes that everyone can consume for Straight to Amp. Thank you so much, and have a great day.